If this is you, you've tried going no contact, hoping she'd finally notice your silence, hoping she'd feel that empty space where you used to be, but deep down you're wondering, does she even care? Maybe this feels familiar. You check your phone, waiting for her name to appear, but all you get is more silence. You thought pulling away would make her chase, but instead it feels like you're the one chasing her in your head every single day. And late at night, when it's just you and your thoughts, the questions burn. Was I never enough? Did she really just move on this easily? How can she not feel what I'm feeling? It's not just rejection, it's the ache of being invisible to someone you gave everything to. You've been told no contact is the answer. But what if I told you there's something even more powerful? Something that doesn't just ignore her, but makes her feel the weight of losing you in a way she can't escape. What if the real shift isn't silence, but the one thing she never saw coming? Most men get this situation wrong because they make every move from a place of reaction, not from a place of strength. They hear about no contact and they cling to it like a desperate strategy, secretly hoping she'll come running back. But here's the truth. If you're sitting there waiting, checking your phone, wondering if she's thinking about you, you're still giving her all the power. That's not no contact, that's emotional dependence dressed up as a tactic. A man grounded in his core doesn't build his life around how she responds, he builds his life because it's who he is. The core masculine principle here is this. You don't withdraw to get her attention, you withdraw because your attention is too valuable to waste. Silence isn't about punishment, it's about presence. And when your presence is felt in the world, in your purpose, in your discipline, in your growth, that's when she feels the difference. That's when it stings in a way no trick or tactic ever could, because real strength isn't in proving to her you can disappear, it's in showing yourself that you never needed her validation to begin with. Would you like me to write the next section where this principle flips the viewer's mindset and shows them the shift that actually makes her regret ignoring him? He sat in the quiet of his room, phone face down on the desk, the glow of the screen still tempting him like a flame he wanted to touch. For weeks, he had followed the rules. No messages, no calls, no reaching out. And yet every time his phone stayed silent, it didn't feel like strength. It felt like waiting, like holding his breath underwater, hoping she'd be the one to pull him up. He thought about her laugh, the way she used to look at him when she was truly present. Now those memories cut sharper than her absence. Does she even notice? Does it even cross her mind that I'm not there? The questions echoed like footsteps in an empty hall, each one louder because there was no answer. Outside, the world kept moving. The hum of cars, the chatter of strangers passing by, life refusing to pause just because his heart had. And in that silence, he realized something. No contact wasn't hurting her. It was only suffocating him. His life had become about what she might feel instead of what he needed to become. He stood up, almost without thinking, and grabbed his jacket. The night air hit his face, cold and sharp, carrying with it the smell of rain on concrete. For the first time, he wasn't waiting for her. He was walking for himself. The city lights didn't judge. The stars didn't withhold affection. The silence suddenly felt different, like freedom instead of a cage. And somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispered, "This is what she will feel. Not the silence of your absence, but the weight of your presence. When you stop living for her and start living for you." Would you like me to now weave this story back into a direct lesson for the viewer so it lands as both emotional and practical advice in the speech? One of the biggest false beliefs men hold is that silence alone creates impact. That if you just stop talking to her, she'll suddenly feel the loss and come running back. But silence without strength behind it is just emptiness. If you're still checking your phone every hour, if your mind is still orbiting around her, then your no contact is only proving how much control she still has over you. Another lie men believe is that getting her back should be the goal, but chasing that outcome keeps you stuck in the very dynamic that broke you in the first place. The truth is, it's not about whether she returns, it's about whether you return to yourself. When you rebuild your focus, your purpose, and your presence, that's when the energy shifts. That's when she feels it in a way silence never could. She didn't ghost you, you disappeared from yourself. Silence doesn't hurt her, strength does. Do you want me to now craft the power shift moment where the speech reveals the exact thing that hurts her more than no contact, tying all this together? The 3% man doesn't play games. He doesn't sit in silence hoping she'll notice. He understands that true power isn't in withholding attention as a tactic, it's in directing that attention toward building himself. This is what he understands. A woman doesn't feel the weight of his absence because of what he withholds. She feels it because of the undeniable gravity of who he becomes when his life is full, rich, and driven by purpose. While most men collapse inward, waiting, the 3% man expands outward. He invests in his health, his mission, his relationships, his growth. He knows that his worth doesn't hang on whether she texts back. His worth is already written in how he shows up for himself every day. This is how he leads with presence, not pressure. His calm energy says more than 100 unanswered messages ever could. He doesn't need her to validate his silence. His life validates itself. And when she sees him moving with strength, centered and unshaken, that's when the loss becomes real to her. Because she knows deep down, she no longer has a hold on a man who finally remembered who he is. Do you want me to take this further and write the climax moment of the speech, the exact emotional punch where the viewer feels, this is who I need to become? He sat there staring at the silence, the same silence that once felt like a weapon he was holding against her, but in that stillness, something shifted. He realized he wasn't punishing her, he was punishing himself. Every day of waiting had been a quiet confession that his value depended on her noticing him. And then, like a crack of light breaking through a closed door, the truth came rushing in. He wasn't invisible because she stopped seeing him. He was invisible because he had stopped seeing himself. The man he once was. The man with dreams, with drive, with fire in his chest. That man had been buried beneath her absence. In that moment, he stopped waiting, not because he no longer cared, but because he finally remembered his life is not a pause button pressed by her rejection. His worth was never in her response. It was in the way he chose to rise, to breathe, to stand fully in who he is, with or without her shadow in his world. And for the first time, the silence didn't ache. It felt like freedom. The moment you stop waiting for her to feel your absence is the moment she finally feels the undeniable power of your presence.